Look your killer in the face. You got to look them in their face. By the way, if you leave the court and you don't look me in my face and I just beat you, I actually know that I own you forever because you couldn't even look me in the face. And so to see them walk off the court, it was disheartening. And I'll blame it on youth. I'll blame it on lacking the leader to show them that, hey, this is what you do, not walk off.
I'm going to tell I don't agree with everything he does. I certainly don't agree with him and the unsportsmanlike stuff, not shaking hands with the opposition at the end of the finals.
Wembanyama just got roasted by his own people, and it's not even about his game. It's about what happened after the buzzer. Spurs lost the finals to the Knicks, and Wemby walked straight to the tunnel. No handshakes, no eye contact, nothing. Draymond Green called him out live on air. Fans online called him classless. Players are split, but here's the thing. You need to know what this kid just went through. This was his big moment, his first finals, and one man stood in his way the whole series, Jalen Brunson. Wemby never solved him, game after game, and when it ended, you could see it on his face. He was broken. Stick with me. I'm breaking down how this series fell apart, what really happened in that tunnel, and why the league can't agree on who's right. Let's start with the facts, because headlines like this get exaggerated fast. Wembanyama left the court the second the buzzer sounded. No handshakes, only Luke Cornett stuck around to shake hands with the Knicks. Everyone else went straight to the tunnel. Knicks fans saw it instantly, and it spread everywhere within minutes. Draymond Green spoke up fast, saying skipping the handshakes wasn't a good look. That means something coming from a four-time champion who knows exactly how that walk feels. Wemby himself admitted in his press conference that the loss hurt badly. So this isn't a rumor. This isn't one blurry clip blown out of proportion. It happened, and the whole basketball world reacted within hours. Now, here's why he walked off like that. This series was brutal. San Antonio led by double digits in every single game. Game 1, up 14, lost it. Game 2, up 12, lost it. Game 3, they finally held on. Game 4, up 29, lost it. Game 5, up 16, lost it again. The Spurs controlled most of the minutes in this whole series, and somehow the Knicks are the ones holding the trophy. That's not bad luck. That's a real problem. Game 4 was the turning point, the biggest collapse in finals history. San Antonio came out blazing, 76-49 at the half. Biggest halftime lead ever blown in a playoff game. Then the second half hit, and San Antonio scored just 30 points the rest of the way. They ran out of gas, and New York started clawing back possession by possession. Brunson dropped 36, and Anunoby dropped 33, blocked Fox on one end, then put back his own miss to win it at the buzzer. A 29-point collapse, the biggest ever, and Wemby played all 44 minutes. He didn't sit and lose the game, he was right there the whole time and still couldn't stop the bleeding. This became the story of the whole series. Spurs would blow teams out early, then completely stall in the fourth. Brunson did the opposite. He got better as games went on, scoring big in the fourth quarter on nearly 50% shooting. While San Antonio faded, Brunson sped up. That's the whole series in one sentence. And Brunson was Wemby's personal nightmare. Other guys gave him trouble too, but Brunson was the one who always found a way late.
He averaged over 32 a night and walked away with Finals MVP. For the league's top defender to keep watching one smaller guard close out games on him, that's things differently than losing to a giant. So heading into Game 5, Wemby wasn't just chasing a title, he was chasing proof that he could fix the fourth quarter problem and finally slow Brunson down. And just how rare was this collapse? The biggest comeback before this belonged to the 2008 Celtics, a 24-point swing. San Antonio blew one 5 points bigger than that. Teams that go up 3-1 in the finals almost never lose. Only one team in history has ever blown that lead back. San Antonio had a generational talent and still ended up on the wrong side of history. There was a smaller moment too. Jeremy Sochan, Wemby's old teammate, now on the Knicks, tried getting under his skin early in Game 5. Wemby ignored him completely. At the time, people called that maturity.
Looking back now, it almost looks like a kid bottling everything up instead of letting it out. And the hostility wasn't just inside the arena. After Game 4, a fan reportedly threw an egg at him as he walked off. By Game 5, this kid had already been jeered, taunted, and pelted on the road. That doesn't excuse the handshake snub, but it explains the headspace he was in. Game 5 followed the same script, just with the season on the line. San Antonio jumped out to a 16-point lead again, and again, New York clawed back in the fourth. Stephon Castle, another former Spur, cut it to 2 with a putback dunk. That should have sparked San Antonio to close it out. Instead, Brunson answered with the go-ahead floater and never let go. Final score 94-90, Knicks. Brunson dropped 45, including 13 straight in the fourth, numbers that put him next to legends like Giannis for the best closeout performance ever. Wemby actually played well too, 19 points, 14 boards, 5 blocks, but his shooting dropped off in the fourth again, just like all series long, and Brunson simply refused to miss. That fourth quarter gap tells the whole story. Brunson was nearly automatic late in games. Wemby's numbers and efficiency dropped hard once it mattered most. That's not a small gap. That's the difference between a guy who rises under pressure and a guy who hasn't found that gear yet. Even Dylan Harper off the bench outscored Wemby in that final game with 25 points. On the night his franchise guy needed to take over, it was a bench player doing the heavy lifting. New York won their first title in 53 years, and they did it by coming back from double digits in every single win. That's why this finals will be remembered as one of the wildest ever. Now, picture being Wemby, 22 years old, first finals of his career. His team controlled stretches of every single game. He nearly put up a triple-double in the final loss, and he still walked away with nothing because one man, Jalen Brunson, kept stealing it from him in winning time. That's the emotional weight behind what happened next in that tunnel. So now let's get to what everyone's actually talking about. Wemby's last shot of the series clanked off the backboard, and the Knicks started celebrating right there on San Antonio's home floor. Wemby didn't wait around. He was already heading to the tunnel before most of the Knicks even started hugging. Several teammates followed him. Only Luke Cornett stayed back to shake hands with the new champs. That image, Wemby disappearing while New York celebrated 53 years of waiting, is what set off this entire firestorm. Clips hit hundreds of thousands of views within minutes. By morning, it was its own news story, completely separate from the actual championship. This is where the league split. Draymond's reaction carried weight because of who he is, a champion who's lived both sides of that walk, and his gut reaction was that skipping the handshakes wasn't a good look. ESPN's Alan Hahn went further, calling it soft, saying Wemby skipped honoring the exact guy who outplayed him. His point was simple: you don't have to like losing, but you show respect to the man who took the ring from you. But it wasn't unanimous. Former NBA guard Jay Williams pushed back hard, saying the whole handshake expectation is something fans and media demand, not something players owe each other. His argument? Nobody's talking about the basketball. San Antonio led every single game and controlled most of the series. Reducing it all to a 10-second walk-off ignores how brutal that loss really was. That's the split right now. Champions like Draymond say the gesture matters no matter what. Guys like Jay Williams say you can't judge a 22-year-old's rawest moment by a tradition that isn't even a real rule. This wasn't totally new either. Wemby reportedly did something similar after San Antonio's earlier playoff loss to Oklahoma City. So people jumped on this fast because it started looking like a pattern, not a one-time reaction. There's a bigger storyline feeding into this too. Shaq and Charles Barkley spent the whole finals debating Wemby's mentality before this handshake thing even happened. After a rough game 2, Barkley said the kid looked outplayed and still processing it. Shaq questioned whether he was bringing enough energy for a guy in his prime. They argued for games straight about whether Wemby had the same fire as legends before him, and Shaq eventually softened after a stronger Game 3. So when this clip dropped, it landed right on top of an existing argument about whether this kid has the mental toughness to match his talent. Fair or not, that's the lens a lot of retired players were already watching him through. Then there's the fans, maybe even more split than the players. A huge chunk of Knicks fans are furious, saying 53 years of waiting deserved more class on the way out. Some are even saying his humble global image doesn't match what they just saw. Others pointed out San Antonio never showed New York respect all series, even while the Knicks gave San Antonio credit constantly. On the other side, plenty of Spurs fans are defending him hard. Their argument, he just lost the biggest game of his life in his own building after blowing a 16-point lead. Let the kid have his moment. Nobody owes graciousness 30 seconds after the worst loss of his life. Some fans even pointed out handshake snubs have happened before without this much outrage. What's wild is this debate isn't splitting the way you'd expect. Hall of Famers are taking the harsh side, a former player is defending him, and the fans are split right down the middle too. Nobody's clearly wrong here. It's a real argument about what players owe each other in their lowest moment. So where does Wemby go from here? On the court, the story's actually hopeful. San Antonio led every single game and held a tempo for most of the series. That's not a team that got outclassed. That's a team that hasn't learned how to finish yet. Even Wemby admitted closing games out is the lesson here. Legends like Jordan and LeBron didn't win their first ring on the first try either. Nobody serious is writing off his future because of one rough finals. But the handshake thing is a different kind of lesson, purely about image. Fair or not, moments like that stick around longer than box scores do. Fans will bring this up every time these two teams meet for years. If Wemby wants to control his own story, especially as the league grooms him to be its next global face, this is the kind of moment he'll want to handle differently next time. There's a money side to this too that nobody talks about enough. The NBA's been building Wemby up as the face of its future, the guy brands want front and center. A clip like this, him walking off in silence while the world watches, is exactly what sponsors notice. It probably won't kill any deals, but it puts a small dent in that clean image he's carried his whole career, and gives doubters one more clip to point back to. And that's really the bigger story here. Nobody's actually mad San Antonio lost. The league is watching a 22-year-old superstar go through his first real heartbreak in real time, and judging how he handles it. The handshake is just the visible piece of a much bigger story about losing the game you were supposed to win, to the one guy you never figured out in front of the whole world. And if there's a silver lining for San Antonio, it's this. They have the talent to get back here. They led every single game. They've got a 22-year-old who nearly triple-doubled in the final loss, and young pieces like Castle and Harper still growing around him. The version of this team that finally learns to protect a lead in a few years is genuinely scary to think about. The real question now is whether Wemby turns this pain into fuel, or whether it becomes the clip people throw at him every time his toughness gets questioned. So here's where it stands. San Antonio dominated the box score most of the series and still has nothing to show for it. Jalen Brunson proved he simply wouldn't let Wemby breathe when it mattered, and the handshake moment turned into its own debate about what we expect from young superstars at their lowest point. Normally, a 4-1 series means one team was clearly better. This one wasn't like that at all. San Antonio led everywhere and still walked away empty-handed, except for a 22-year-old now facing criticism that has nothing to do with talent and everything to do with how he handled the worst night of his career. My take? This gets forgotten the second Wemby wins his first ring, whenever that happens. Nobody brings up old handshake snubs once a guy's holding his own trophy. But right now, today, it's a real crack in his perfect image, and one more clip for every doubter out there. So what do you think? Was this just a kid processing real pain? Or is Draymond right that some things matter no matter how bad the loss hurts? Drop it in the comments, and subscribe, because this rivalry is just getting started.